Hi guys, now we are going to start something. It's something new. It's a concept of homeopathy reloaded. Now we are going to start with Sapere Aude. Topic of today is the structure of the organon. Today we are going to talk something about vital force. Today we are going to talk about, in this module, about the organization of the human body. This is a module where we are going to talk about constitution. We are going to talk about the psychological constitution. We are going to start another new module, the miasma of Hahnemann. We come back to modern interpretation of miasma via immunity. Today we are going to dwell into the Hahnemannian concept of disease. Let us first now define symptoms. Lead to this one module, that is repertory. Tenth B module is about the structure of repertory. We are going to study the essentials of successful repertorization. I hope I have been very clear in telling you about how to repertorize to make a mathematical sum and cautioning you that use materia medica also hand in hand with repertory work.
Very good evening, sir. Hello, sir, can you hear me? All right. Very good evening and a warm welcome to all our esteemed guests and to dear learners. I'm Dr. Riya Tukral from the Homeopathic Academy, and we are here today to discuss a very interesting as well as essential topic in today's post-COVID time, which is management of long COVID. We have Dr. Harsh Nigam, our eminent speaker today, live with us right now, who will be enlightening us with his experience and wisdom on COVID treatment. But before we go ahead with this webinar, as it is customary, let's introduce you to the Homeopathic Academy, of which we are a proud part of. Just give me a few moments and I would like to introduce you all to the Homeopathic Academy. So the Homeopathic Academy, or THA as we call it, is PGen's efforts towards digitalizing homeopathy and providing a platform for quality education online. THA offers you a range of online courses by well-known academicians on numerous subjects of homeopathy at undergraduate, postgraduate, UPSC and CME level. All these courses are enriched with state-of-the-art audio-video technology, text and vector animations, giving you an HD quality audio and video experience made by a dynamic team of qualified doctors, video editors, and many more professionals. These courses will perfectly complement your studies to make learning an extraordinary experience. On your screens, you can see some of our courses currently streaming on our website, www.thehomeopathicacademy.com. You can also see the course on Modus Foundation and Modus Prescriber by Dr. Harsh Nigam. Also, just scrolling through the courses that we have by eminent authors and speakers, which I am sure you all know about. So this is the course by Dr. Harsh Nigam that I was talking about. Here, Dr. Nigam will teach us how to adapt the concepts of organon in modern clinical scenario and improve our clinical practice, an essential need for all us modern homeopaths. So not taking much of your time, I just want to showcase you all the courses that we have. All right. So thank you for listening, everyone. Coming back to this webinar, let me introduce Dr. Harsh Nigam to you all before starting. So, Dr. Harsh Nigam, our eminent speaker for today, he's a renowned practitioner and an author of 8 books on homeopathy and 12 research papers published in various Indian journals. Despite having obtained MBBS and MD in physiology, he could not suppress the heritage of homeopathy that he received from his erudite homeopathic father, Dr. Jagdish Chandra Nigam. Dr. Harsh then obtained his membership of faculty MF from the Royal London Homeopathic Hospital, UK. He is spearheading a multi-speciality OPD hospital at Kanpur, a center of excellence in medical homeopathy, a center now well known for providing research-based medical solutions to various health issues. He aims to establish homeopathy on its scientific merit and to make it integrated with orthodox medicine in such a way that the scope and limitations of homeopathy are well defined. His ambition to educate young homeopaths has led him to write 8 books on homeopathy. 2 of those internationally recognized books are on your screens right now: Principles and Practice of Homeopathic Case Management and Miasma, The Road Less Traveled. He's also a nominated member of editorial board of IJH and an ex-member for Special Committee of Clinical Research at the Central Council for Research in Homeopathy, New Delhi. So that was a little about our eminent speaker, Dr. Harsh Nigam, which you all can see is live with us right now. Thank you so much, sir, for being here with us. All right, so I am really thankful that you could take some time out from your busy schedule. For all us learners who are very much eager to hear from you today, especially since the topic is also so interesting for this session. So I don't want to waste any more time. I will give over to you, sir. Just a small mention that anybody who would like to, ask some questions or give your comments, you can write in the chat box on the right of your screens so that we can take them up later after we are done with Dr. Harsh Nigam's lecture for today. So that's it for me. Over to you, sir. Please take over. Sir, your mic is mute, I think. Please unmute.
Thank you, Dr. Ria, ma'am. It's a pleasure to be back on THA platform. Before starting with the little AV that I sent you, I would like to give an introduction to today's talk that we are going to have. Today we are going to talk about long COVID. Now, long COVID is going to be a bread and butter for us homeopath for next 2 years or so, that I suppose. So we must understand what long COVID is, and then how to treat it, how to go about it. Now, long COVID and persistent COVID, along with vaccinosis, are three things that are going to be bread and butter for homeopathic physicians for next 2 years. So this would be a very interesting chat, and I am sure by the end of the chat, you people are going to get to know about different medicines and the different techniques. I would all, as you know, I never say that there is only one technique of practicing homeopathy, the classical technique. The classical technique is a very important technique, but amongst all the techniques, it is only one of the technique. So we'll talk about the clinical technique. We'll also talk about the syndrome-based technique. So, and I'll tell you the medicines also, often less used medicines. So let us first start with the AV, where you would get to know what homeopathy has done in the second wave of this corona epidemic. And the second wave was a havoc in our country, and how homeopathy did help in second wave. And then we would start with our presentation of today. It's only a 6-minute AV. So please play the AV. Thank you.
Yes, right away.
हमारी सरकार ने पुरजोर कोशिश करी लॉकडाउन में आपको सिखाने की, हर तरीके से ये बताने की कि आपको करना क्या है। हुआ क्या कि वैक्सीन आई, आपको लगा कि क्योर आ गया। कोरोना का क्योर वैक्सीन नहीं है। कोरोना से बचाव का तरीका जैसे कि बहुत सारे तरीके हैं, वैसे ही वैक्सीन बचाव का एक तरीका है। उनमें सबसे सक्सेसफुल तरीका वैक्सीन आप मान सकते हैं, मगर कोरोना का क्योर आज भी बचाव ही है। और बचाव क्या है? 2 गज दूरी, मास्क है जरूरी। ज्यादा फायदा मिला कोविड में कि होम्योपैथी की दवा से ज्यादा फायदा मिला?
नहीं, एलोपैथी से मुझे सारा लेकिन जो मुझे वीकनेस जो मेरी खत्म हुई वो।
और फीवर भी तो आपका नहीं जा रहा था एलोपैथी से, फीवर जा रहा था एलोपैथी से। और फीवर एलोपैथी से चला गया था कि फीवर भी होम्योपैथी से गया?
नहीं, होम तो पहले ही चला गया था सर, 15 दिन का कोर्स
से चला गया था।
हाँ, वो उसमें उसके बाद बुखार भी नहीं आया, बुखार नहीं आया, लेकिन वीकनेस होता है, लेकिन वीकनेस जो आपने जब मुंह पे दवा के मुंह पे से गिरा धीरे
ठीक बोलता हूँ कि मैंने डॉक्टर साहब से P19 और P12 दवा ली थी, और उस दवा को लेने के बाद मैं कोरोना की पहली लहर और दूसरी लहर में बिल्कुल भी ठीक रहा। कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं हुआ, कोई भी जरा सा एक्शन में हुआ। और ये दवा सभी को लेनी चाहिए जिससे कि लोग बचे रहें। और और वो
बाकी पेंसिल है। मैं कभी कभार से रिमाइंड करती हूँ, बट यहाँ मैं अपनी मम्मी के कानपुर आई हूँ और जिस बीच में आ रही थी कानपुर, आई डोंट नो हाउ मुझे कोविड हो गया। और वो कोविड मुझे 4th को समझ में आया कि मुझे फीवर हो रहा है, तो मैंने 5th को तुरंत डॉक्टर साहब को कंसल्ट किया। डॉक्टर हर्ष निगम यहाँ से वैली में है, कानपुर में। ये होम्योपैथिक डॉक्टर हैं, ये होम्योपैथिक ट्रीटमेंट देते हैं। तो इनको जब मैंने 5th को कंसल्ट किया तो मुझे फीवर था, बट 6th की मॉर्निंग से ही मैंने उनकी दवाई शुरू कर दी। 5th को लेकर दो दवाई आई थी और मुझे 6 से कोई फीवर नहीं है। इट वॉज जस्ट 4th और 5th को मुझे फीवर था। उसके बाद से धीरे धीरे मेरी रिकवरी हुई, मेरे टेस्ट हुआ, मैं पॉजिटिव थी, धीरे धीरे रिकवरी हुई। उसके बाद मेरा फिर से टेस्ट हुआ, मैं नेगेटिव आ गई, मेरे ब्लड सारे सैंपल्स ठीक निकले, सब कुछ नॉर्मल हुआ।
मैं डॉक्टर अनामिका निगम आज अपनी फैमिली का कोरोना की महामारी के दौरान हुए एक्सपीरियंस को आपके सामने शेयर कर रही हूँ। 15 अप्रैल को मेरे हस्बैंड को माइल्ड फीवर आया था, बॉडी एक वगैरह ये जनरल सिम्टम्स थे जो 3-4 दिन तक 100 तक बना रहा था फीवर। इसको जनरल फीवर समझ के हमने बहुत ज्यादा कुछ ऐसा मेडिकेशन नहीं स्टार्ट किया था। जब बेटे को फीवर आया तो हमें लगा कि ये हो सकता है कोरोना महामारी का कोई लक्षण हमारे यहाँ भी ना आ गया हो, इसलिए हमने एंटीजन और आरटीपीसीआर की जांच कराई, जिसमें बच्चे हमारे एंटीजन में पॉजिटिव आए, मैं और हस्बैंड दोनों ही नेगेटिव आए। बच्चे जो जनरल कोरोना प्रोटोकॉल की मेडिसिन हैं वो ली और वो रिकवर हो गए जल्दी ही। लेकिन हस्बैंड का फीवर लगातार बढ़ता ही जा रहा था और 103.5 तक जब पहुंचा तो मैंने सोचा कि अब इनका सीटी स्कैन कराना चाहिए, क्योंकि धीरे धीरे 10 दिन हो रहे थे। सर से बात करी, डॉक्टर हर्ष निगम सर ने हमारे हस्बैंड से बात करी, उनके सारे सिम्टम्स लिए और मुझे मेडिसिन प्रोवाइड करवाई सर ने। सीटी का स्कोर जब 17 आउट ऑफ 25 आया तो सारे डॉक्टर्स ने मेरे हस्बैंड को हॉस्पिटलाइजेशन के लिए बोला, लेकिन सर ने मुझे कहा कि ये घर पे ही ट्रीट हो सकते हैं और होम्योपैथिक मेडिसिन के साथ साथ आप कोरोना प्रोटोकॉल फॉलो करते रहिए और ये जल्दी ही रिकवर हो जाएंगे। सर का सपोर्ट, उनकी दी हुई मेडिसिन से मेरे हस्बैंड का जो SpO2 88 तक जो पहुंचा था वो धीरे धीरे 92, 93, 95 से होता हुआ धीरे
Sir, please unmute yourself again because due to the video it got muted.
So guys, hi, this is Dr. Harsh Nigam and you just saw this AV. So now there were 4 case scenarios. First case scenario was that the patient had already taken allopathic medicine and she contacted me post fever. She was having weakness. Now this was post-COVID. So she was having extreme weakness, fatigue, body ache, etc. We gave her homeopathic medicine, and with homeopathic medicine, her weakness was gone and she was able to do her work and she was very happy and contented. The second case scenario was about genus epidemicus, the prescribing through genus epidemicus. And here we gave her medicine by the name of phosphorus, because phosphorus was the real genus epidemicus and not arsenic. That is questionable. But we believe in our own setup called as Art Homeopathy, where we discussed about this matter, that there is actually a way, altered way of prescribing genus epidemicus, that you give 2 type of medicines. One is genus epidemicus of the epidemic per se, wherein you take the pathological symptoms of whole epidemic. And then you would see that every epidemic would have a variation every time. The second wave would be a variant virus. Now this variant virus has a variant strain, so the medicine might differ. Plus, geographically, like genus epidemicus in Kanpur might be different from a genus epidemicus, say, in Nagpur, because due to geographical circumstances and because of the different minor strains moving about here and there. So the genus epidemicus might differ in different areas. So you have a general genus epidemicus, which for us was Phosphorus, and we have our own reasons to believe about it. And we chose the remedy Phosphorus 6 as genus epidemicus as a pathological simillimum to coronavirus, and then a local genus epidemicus for the strain of wave 2, which we gave to that old gentleman who's about 82 years, and he has passed both the wave 1 and wave 2, and he's hale and hearty without any infection. And so he was telling his experience. The third case was acute COVID. This lady was traveling from Calcutta to Kanpur. When she came into Kanpur, she had corona. I diagnosed her corona. We started with homeopathy. There was no other medicine that was given to her, no ivermectin, no nothing. Only paracetamol when her fever crossed 100, and homeopathic medicine. And she, as she told you, she got relief in her fever within 2 days, and all her symptoms were better within 5 days. On the 14th day, when we got her RT-PCR done again, she was negative. Then the fourth lady she is a homeopathic doctor, and she has been a student of mine in our art homeopathic setup, academy setup. And her husband had a CT score of 17/25. And with homeopathic management, everybody was after her life, that she had to be, that her husband had to be shifted to an ICU. But I said, believe in homeopathy, stay put. We are going to start the medicine, and we prescribed homeopathy in a layered approach. And this layered approach is a different approach of managing homeopathy, managing diseases with homeopathy. These are complicated diseases where there is a structural alteration in disease in the organs, and through layered approach of Burnett, Iziaga, and modified model, which is modified by me. So it is a modified layered approach of Burnett, Iziaga, and Nigam, and through which we managed this case, and we were able to cure this gentleman. So you see, there are many therapeutic approaches, and you can study about these approaches in my the program that we have developed at THA, which is the foundation course and the prescribing course, which are interrelated. So now coming to the main topic of the day, which is long COVID. So Dr. Ria, please put on the presentation now. This is management of long COVID. Next, please. So how would you respond to COVID-19? Would you deny? Would you panic, or would you plan? Similarly, with long COVID, would you deny it, that there is no long COVID? Would you panic, or would you plan? We would like to plan about it. Next, please. So you have to be ready, and you have to be very supportive to your patients. You have to be careful. You have to be alert, and you have to be kind. And according to Sun Tzu, who has written a beautiful book by the name of The Art of War. It's a small book. You can always read it. It's victorious warriors win first and then go to war. So you have to win in your mind and then go to war. Next, please. Now, this is the result that we have had at our hospital in Kanpur. In wave 1, obviously, nobody believed that homeopathy could do anything. But we had a chance of treating 106 cases, and this was all research-based that we did. We had a protocol which we shared with you all, and through this protocol, by telemedicine, we treated 106 cases with 100% result. There was no mortality. Wave 2, as we know that wave 2 was devastating, and we had all over India, we had a state of panic. There was no oxygen. In wave 2, by that time we had in Kanpur kind of a reputation that homeopathy does work, and since we gave good results, so many patients came to us. Some patients were out of Kanpur. So we treated at this time 460 cases ranging from level 1, that is from mild, to level 3, that is serious cases. Even to the tune of CT score of 24/25. We treated 3 cases to the score of 24/25 out of 1. Out of these 3, only 1 succumbed, 2 survived. So which is a very good result with homeopathy. So out of these 460 cases, we had a cure rate of 98%. Only 2% mortality, which was way, way better than the national mortality rate. Next, please. But long COVID is something that you must need to understand, because wave 3 may or may not come. Wave 3 may come by mid of October. Wave 3 may not come at all. But long COVID has already come, and you must all be seeing plenty of patients with hair loss in your clinic. Now, many of these cases, in each and every case of hair loss, you must ask for a history of COVID, because hair fall is kind of an epidemic nowadays, and long COVID is one of the reasons of hair fall nowadays. Next, please. Now, what is long COVID or post-COVID? Now, long COVID term is the first term used in the medical history, which has been taken from social media. This was first used by Pergo in social media to denote persistence of symptoms weeks or months after initial SARS-CoV-2 infection. And the term long haulers was used by Watson and by Young. It is also called as post-COVID syndrome. Next, please. Now, it can be continuous or relapsing or remittent. As you must understand, as in fevers, a fever can be continuous like typhoid, relapsing meaning it goes to a high, then comes back to normal, then it comes again, then settles down. Remittent meaning it goes to a high, comes down, but patient never attains a state of normal health. But from this state of ill health, there is a spike again. Then there is a state of remission, but never normal health. So it can be continuous, relapsing, and remittent in nature. Majority of people with post-COVID syndrome are PCR negative. This is very important. You would only classify somebody as long COVID or post-COVID when RT-PCR is negative. Majority of those with long COVID show biochemical and radiological recovery, although in many patients you would see that CRP is elevated and D-dimer is also elevated in patients with some kind of myocarditis or cardiac or vascular involvement. Next, please. Long COVID denotes persistence of symptoms in these patients who have recovered from COVID-19. Now, long COVID can be divided into different categories based on symptom syndromes. Treatment of long COVID requires a multidisciplinary approach, which means you not only require homeopathy, you may also require physiotherapy, you may also require breathing exercises, pranayam, yoga, and a lot of counseling also. Long COVID is the collective term to denote persistence of symptoms in those who have recovered from SARS-CoV-2 infection. Next, please. Currently, an improvement of symptoms, fever and respiratory symptoms is considered the beginning of the end of an acute phase. So we are now trying to define a time frame for post-COVID symptoms. So somebody who has had an acute COVID and fever and respiratory symptoms are now improving, fever is getting over and respiratory symptom is improving, which means SpO2 is improving. This is the beginning of the end of an acute phase. It is commonly accepted that COVID infection usually lasts for 2 to 3 weeks. Now, integrative model of COVID would make a distinction that long COVID starts after the persistence of symptoms from 12 to 24 weeks, which means that after COVID is over and the patient is not never been well since scenario, NBWS scenario, which is so commonly told to us in homeopathy, that you have not been sick, never been well since COVID. And this has been going on from 12 to 24 weeks after COVID infection, then you would label the patient as long COVID. While if the patient is never been well since COVID, even after 24 weeks onwards, then which means 6 months after COVID, he or she has had COVID infection, then it would be labeled as a case of persistent COVID. Next, please. Now, this is a graph delineating the same thing. Short COVID, post-acute COVID. Remember the first case that I showed you. That case was a case of post-acute COVID weakness. It was not a case of long COVID. It was a case of post-acute COVID because it was just after 3 weeks. If it would have been a weakness after 12 weeks, I would have labeled it as a long COVID case. Next, please. Now, as I told you, acute post-COVID from 3 to 12 weeks, long post-COVID from 12 to 24 weeks, persistent post-COVID from 12 weeks onwards. Next, please. Now, what is the difference between acute and long COVID? In acute COVID, as you all know by now, that symptoms include fever, throat pain, cough, muscle or body aches, loss of taste, smell, and diarrhea, or in some cases constipation, which means GI symptoms. In long COVID, symptoms do not include fever. There is no fever in long COVID. If there is a fever, then it is not long COVID. Symptoms include fatigue, cough, chest tightness, breathlessness, palpitation, myalgia, and difficulty to focus, along with some kind of mental phenomena, emotional or mental phenomena. Next, please. Now, what are the post-COVID complications to watch out for in your patients? Recurrence of fever. Now, this we are talking about acute post-COVID, which means between 3 to 5 weeks. Recurrence of fever, new onset of shortness of breath, prolonged fatigue, difficulty in concentrating, anxiety, sleep disturbance. Now, what is the cause of this? Persistence of low-grade inflammatory response, which means CRP would be increased, IL-6 would be increased, D-dimer would be increased. And who is at risk? It is reported that people who have recovered from mild to severe symptoms of COVID are at risk, and especially females are more at risk. The advisory is that in most cases, the symptoms will subside on their own, but I would suggest that these patients should be given homeopathy because homeopathy is safe and the patient would recover very, very fast. Next, please. Now, risk factors for long COVID. Who are the patients with COVID who are at risk of having long COVID? Now, the risk of having long COVID is twice as common in women compared to men. As I have seen in my own research that COVID has been twice as more common in females than in males. Same with long COVID. Increasing age is also a risk factor. Presence of more than 5 symptoms in acute stage of illness has also been a risk factor for development of long COVID. And the people who have more comorbidities like diabetes, pre-existing COPD, pre-existing heart diseases also have a risk of developing future long COVID. Next, please. Now, this is the basic syndrome is based upon a report from Italy. It might be different in India, and it is actually different in India, which I'm going to tell you. But 87% of patients in Italy, when they were discharged from hospital, they showed within 60 days persistence of symptoms. 32% of patients had at least 2 symptoms. 55% had 3 or more symptoms. And fever was not seen in any of these patients. Therefore, from Italy, this concept of long COVID came to medical attention. Next, please. Now, the commonly reported problems are fatigue, worsened quality of life, dyspnea, joint pain, and chest pain. Next, please. Now, there are cluster of symptoms. Now, every patient is not going to have the same cluster. And this is the beauty of homeopathy. Now, people are going to understand the beauty of homeopathy, that we take every individual as a unique individual, having not the same cluster, but a combination of symptoms. And we provide patients with tailor-based solutions. So there are basically, if you divide these clusters, you would find that there are 3 clusters in the physical sphere. There are respiratory symptom clusters. There is a musculoskeletal symptom cluster, and there is an enteric symptom cluster. Now they would combine into 6 clusters of symptom. Flu-like symptom with no fever, flu-like symptom with fever, gastrointestinal symptom. Now, according to severity of the level, you would have to add into these 3 a mental syndrome. Severity level number 1 would have simple fatigue. In the above 3 cluster, flu-like symptom with fever, flu-like without fever, with a mental symptom of fatigue, which would be labeled as severe level number 1. Severity level number 2 would be when the patient would have a confused state of mind. And severity level number 3, abdominal or respiratory symptom or enteric symptom with fatigue and confusion. Next, please. Now, at the level of the mind, you would see that there are 3 types of cluster. Now, there would be a mix and match in your patient. But if you again define these symptoms, you would see that there is a psychological related post-COVID syndrome. Then there is a neurocognitive post-COVID syndrome cluster, and there is an autonomic post-COVID syndrome cluster. Now, this psychological related post-COVID syndrome cluster, which is commonly known as post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, would have anxiety, depression, and insomnia. This neurocognitive post-COVID cluster would have brain fog, dizziness, loss of attention, and confusion. While this autonomic post-COVID cluster, which is mediated via vagus nerve, which in our literature, in homeopathic literature, is known as pneumogastric nerve, would have chest pain, tachycardia, and palpitation. Next, please. Gastrointestinal post-COVID cluster would have diarrhea, abdominal pain, vomiting. It may or may not have constipation. Respiratory post-COVID symptom cluster would be general fatigue, dyspnea, cough, throat pain, and musculoskeletal post-COVID cluster would have myalgias and arthralgias. While taking homeopathic history, we are going to take our proper history, which we are going to talk later about. Next, please. So now coming to the homeopathic approach. Now, when this concept of germ was taking form in medicine. Louis Pasteur, who formulated the germ theory, came up with his idea of germ theory. Then there was another medical thinker by the name of Bernard Becamp. Now, Bernard Becamp was a German, Louis Pasteur was a French. Bernard Becamp said that germs are not the only cause of disease. Germs are only seeds, and it is the terrain, which is the soil, which is the primary cause of disease. And there was a long fight between Bernard and Louis Pasteur. And in the end of his life, Louis Pasteur said openly that Bernard was right, the germ is nothing and the terrain is everything. The seed is nothing, it is the soil which is everything. And you know that Hahnemann, before Bernard Becamp, said so, that it is the susceptibility of the patient which is the most important thing. Not only for the germ to develop, but also for the medicine to take its effect. Next, please. So, Hahnemann's concept of disease goes beyond the level of mechanical or chemical alteration in the body. This is something that you must understand. And if you read the organon, you must all go through organon. Footnote para 31, he says, it is when he's explaining his concept of disease and when he says dynamis and spiritual, which you must all read as, whenever Hahnemann says spiritual, he means spirit-like. What is spirit-like is actually a thing which is immaterial, which you cannot touch, something of a spirit, like a ghost. It is not only intended by this expression to intimate that these derangements are not mechanical or chemical alteration of the material substance of the body and not dependent on a material morbid substance. That means diseases are not dependent upon material morbid substance. Material morbid substance can be a cause of the disease, but the diseases are dependent upon the dynamic alteration. By dynamic, today, you must understand the electrophysiological and the electrochemical. It is electro which is important for us. Next, please. And homeopathy is nothing but a regulatory medicine. Homeopathic medications have a regulative effect on the central controlling processes in the organism. This is how we are able to generate cure and cure properly and permanently and gently. Next, please. Now, we all know about first law of homeopathy, similia similibus curantur, like let likes be cured by likes. But the second law of homeopathy, which was given by the master himself, was, and he wrote this in his lesser writing, simple simile minimum. The simile, the simillimum that you are using should be simple, that means single, a single medicine given at a single time. Then it should be a simillimum and it should be used in a minimum dose that is required for the patient, and you have to decide this minimum dose on the basis of the susceptibility of the patient. Next, please. How do you define the simillimum? This law Hahnemann did not formulate. This is the third law of homeopathy. This law was defined by Bonninghausen, and this job was given to Bonninghausen by Hahnemann himself, and this was okayed by Hahnemann. Hahnemann has himself told us that the totality of a disease, the portrait of the disease, can be painted by the sum and the essence of the disease. Now, this sum is the sum of all the characteristic symptoms of the patient since he has fallen sick. Never take normal conditions as characteristic symptoms, and they should never be taken into repertory work. Take only the changes. And the law which was formulated, the third law of simillimum, which was formulated by Bonninghausen, goes by qui, quid, ubi, cur, quamando, quando, quibus auxiliis. Qui, by qui he meant the changes in personality since the patient has been sick, the complaints of the patients, the location of the complaints, the cause of the complaints, whether it is the exciting cause or the fundamental cause, the time when the complaints increase, the circumstances when the complaints increase or decrease, which means the modalities, and the concomitants, all the other problems which increase or decrease along with the primary complaints. This is the third law of homeopathy. Based on these three laws, if you prescribe, then you would get a totality-based medicine, which would be called, which is today now called as constitutional medicines of a case. Now, this would be a classical way of prescribing a medicine to your patient who comes to you. This can only be done after taking a proper history of the case, selecting a proper, selecting all the characteristic symptoms, repertorizing the case. Once you repertorize the case, 4 or 5 medicines are going to come. Then you use your reason gifted mind and you select one single remedy for that patient. Then you select a proper potency and a proper dose and you give it to the patient. This is the specific remedy for that case. As Hempel would have said, now, and Hahnemann would have said, now you have selected the specific remedy for the case. I call this as specific homeopathy. This is not constitutional homeopathy. This is specific homeopathy, individualized, tailor-made medicine. Next, please. So homeopathy is tailor-made medicine. Every case has a specific remedy for that disease at that point of time. Next, please. But there are other approaches. Homeopathic bedside clinical approach. There are times when you are visiting a case and there are times when you don't have your computer with you and nobody is such a genius that he can repertorize in his mind. At least not today. So next, please. So first I would tell you some lesser known but important remedies. They are for long COVID, mind you. Now, from now onwards, I'm only going to tell you the remedies for long COVID and post-COVID syndrome. These lesser known but important remedies, which I sometimes call as small remedies, although they are not small in their effect, but these are small because they are lesser known. Abrotanum, acid phos, Adonis vera, Avena sativa, cactus, China, Comoclydia dentata, Cornus, Cypripedium pubensis, Eucalyptus, Laurocerasus, Lolium, Nux vomica is not a small remedy. It is a polycrest, sarcolactic acid, and senecio. It should have been Nux moscata. Nux vomica is, it is a typo error. It's Nux moscata. Next, please. Then Ambrogracia, Anacardium, Caladium, Carlsbad aqua, Gelsemium, picric acid, Selenium, Spigelia, and Uranium net. Next, please. Now, there is a lady by the name of Dorothy Shepard. She has written a beautiful small book. Now, this book has been published by Bijan. This is Homeopathy in Epidemic Disease. Everybody now should have this book. You must go through this book. Dorothy Shepard has written a beautiful book. This book has many chapters. She tells you her clinical experience and wonderful remedies for different epidemics that she faced in her lifetime. We all are going to face in our lifetime. Now, from Dorothy Shepherd's, I have brought you certain pearls. As already mentioned, there is a choice of remedies from the homeopathic doctor for the homeopathic doctor to select from. In cold, wet spells, which mean in winter spells, if you have influenza-like syndrome, ILI, influenza-like illness, then think about Bryennia, Dulcamara, Allium cepa, and Pulsatilla. In mild, warm spells, Eupatorium, Gelsemium, Pyrogen, Arsenicum. In cold, dry, windy spells, think about Aconite, Causticum, Hippar-Sulph, and Nux vomica. Now important, the Nosode influenzainum works very well given night and morning in conjunction with one of the indicated acute remedies mentioned. Now this is very important. Now here Dorothy Shepherd, who was an American homeopath, is telling you to alternate the remedy. Now there is an unnecessary fear of not alternating the remedy, which has been propagated by purists in India. Although many people alternate their remedies, but when they are talking in seminars, they don't tell you so. I alternate my remedies, but I alternate judicially. Hahnemann alternated remedies, but judicially. So you can alternate remedies precisely the way your elders, past masters tell you. Next, please. Then, according to Dorothy Shepherd, and according to me, and according to anybody who has practiced homeopathy, you must remember that aconite is never the first remedy for cold or fever, etc., etc. Never do so. It is not a wise plan to give aconite in every case at the beginning of a feverish chill, as the lay people are fond of doing. Aconite should only be given if a chill develops after exposure to cold, dry wind, when the patient is smitten with a few hours of exposure with a hot burning face and other aconite symptoms are. You can only give aconite when these symptoms are present. First is that the patient has been exposed to cold, dry wind. Along with that, there is extreme restlessness, agonizing, tossing about, great fear, especially fear of dying, and faint feeling on getting up or sitting up. If a combination of these symptoms is present, aconite will answer well. If not, it is mere waste of time. And I must tell you, all the students who have practiced with me, they are amazed that in fevers, I rarely use aconite, because I rarely find cases of aconite fever who come to me. Next, please. Now coming to post-COVID syndrome. Dorothy Shepherd tells us that if you have a case of depression after influenza, in some cases, influenza acts as a severe nerve poison. It may leave a great depression, almost suicidal in character, like aurum metallicum. Even in people who are well balanced as a rule, they were balanced as a rule before influenza, before ILI, influenza-like illness. But now they have become suicidal. They are depressed to that point. Give them Cypripedium 6CH, 6C potency 3 times a day. She tells you the dose also. Next, please. Ailments since influenza-like illness, which would include COVID-19, complications do not usually occur with homeopathic treatment. Now, this is the beauty. Any confident homeopath would tell you that complications do not usually occur with homeopathic treatments, but are not unknown after allopathic medicines. One often sees people who trace back many of their chronic disabilities to an attack of influenza, which means never been well since. Then you give influenzainum 30 or 200. Give 3 or 4 doses and follow it up with placebo and see the difference. Next, please. Recurrent attack of influenza. In recurrent attack of influenza, when a patient falls victim, whenever he or she comes within the orbit of disease, he or she will be cured by tuberculinum 30 given once every 10 days for 6 doses. So how beautifully she tells you the whole prescription. These doses may have to be repeated in the autumn months every 10 to 14 days during October, November and December. And recurrent attacks of ILI are going to be over. Now, to recognize a tuberculinum patient, you must have a knowledge of miasma, which you can find in our THA course also, and you can read my book also. I must tell you here that our observation, when I say our, it is my observation also, and it is observation of Dr. Kulkarni of Pune also, that in cases of never been well since after COVID, tuberculinum 200 has been working better than influenzainum 200. So you can try tuberculinum 200 and you would see a marked improvement in COVID-19 cases, never been well since scenario. Next, please. Brain fag. Now, clinical tips from Clark. Now, if you have not yet seen this book, The Prescriber by Clark, then you must see this book by Clark. Now, this is a beautiful book. There is a matrix of using Clark. क्लार्क को यूज करना आसान नहीं है. क्लार्क को यूज करने के लिए आपको 3 किताबें एक साथ पढ़नी पड़ती हैं. द रिपर्टरी ऑफ क्लार्क, द मटीरिया मेडिका ऑफ क्लार्क and the prescriber of Clark. When you read these 3 books all together, then you learn the art of clinical prescription and you become a solid prescriber, clinical prescriber like Clark and Burnett. And then you read small booklets of Burnett. They have been now compiled into a single book and published by BGN Publishers. And then you become a rapid and a solid clinical prescriber. And you do magic with homeopathy in layered prescribing, in complex cases. And you see what happens when you do this work with layered prescribing and how complex cases resolve fast. But again, coming back to the topic, with brain fag. Now, brain fag also has different, spectrum, different colors. If you have nervous prostration, the patient is nervous and prostrated. You have acid phos in 1x potency, 2 drops 6 hourly, till the patient is feeling up and about. Then you stop the remedy. Great indifference, there is lack of willpower to undertake anything. Beautiful remedy, picric acid, 3C, 6 hourly, till the patient feels well. Weak memory, dull intellect, zincum metallicum 6C. You would only use zincum metallicum when you would have this patient having restless leg syndrome or cramps in leg during night. Otherwise, you would use zincum picricum 3C, 8 drops, 8 hourly. Weak memory, dull intellect from loss of sleep. You would think about Cocculus indica, but no, you must use zincum aceticum 1x, 10 drops, 4 hourly, till the patient responds. And then you start giving placebo or no medicine. Next, please. Continuing with brain fag and its spectrum, distracted and incapable of mental exertion from much mental work of different kinds in rapid succession, which means the patient cannot do rapid mental work, rapid mental calculation. You would think about now picric acid, but no, this is Ethusa, 3CH, 6 hourly. Along with this, you would always have some kind of, the patient would always have some kind of milk intolerance. Loss of memory, funk before examination. I've seen so many patients, so many children before examination, they use anacardium 30. Anacardium 30 is not going to help. I'm going to tell you the dose. It is anacardium 3 hourly, 3CH, 3 hourly. Then it is going to help. Pale subjects with tendency to large tonsils. Pale subject meaning anemic subjects with tendency to large tonsils, brain weakness after much worry or after ILI, influenza-like illness, calcarea phos, 3CH, 2 drops, 8 hourly. Chronic headaches, nervousness, loss of memory from overwork, suffering. Worse by, all the sufferings are worse by cold airs and better by warmth. Cilicia, 6CH, 8 hourly. Next, please. Debility. By debility, we means weakness, weariness. Debility after acute disease, exhaustion after overwork and worry. Calcarea phos, 3CH, 5 drops, 8 hourly. Debility after acute disease, profound prostration. Chilliness, desire to lie down constantly, Sorinum. There is no desire to bath here, only desire to lie down. The patient is chilly. And there is odor, there is sweat, which is smelly. Then Sorinum, 30CH, 4 hourly, till the patient responds. General weakness, tendency to faint, loss of appetite, arsenic iode, 3x, 3 drops, thrice daily after food to be continued as long as improvement continues and omitted temporarily should pain in the body and looseness of bowel comes on. Next, please. Debility which is non-febrile with blueness and coldness, which means with cyanosis and coldness, carbo-veg, 6CH, 8 hourly. With carbo-veg, you would also find a craving for air hunger. Debility with flushing to head or face, tired feeling in the brain. There is easy, the face becomes, although the patient is pale and anemic, but once the patient rises from the bed, the paleness of the face turns into blush. The face becomes flushed and red, although the patient is tired. Then ferrum phos, 3CH, 5 drops, 8 hourly. Depression, weakness, anemia, to tone up the body, Hylones doisa, mother tincture, 8 hourly, 5 drops in say about 10 ml of water. Depression, weakness, anemia, along with constipation, with earthy complexion and palpitation, natrum mur, 6CH, 8 hourly. Now you would see that here Clark is not using high potencies. Why? Because he is not prescribing on the basis of totality of symptom. He is prescribing clinically on the basis of syndrome. He is not prescribing on the basis of a single disease, but he is prescribing on the basis of clinical syndrome. That is why he is prescribing on low potencies. Now these are all low potencies. Till 3C, it is low potency. From 3C to 12C, it is medium potency. From 12C onwards, it is high potency. This is the classification of potency. Next, please. Debility, continuing with debility. Depression, weakness, anemic in overwrought, nervously run down woman. Magnesia carb. You would think about CPI here. Depression, weakness, anemia in overwrought, nervously run down woman. You would think about CPR, but no. This is a syndrome of magnesia car, 200 Ch, 4 hourly. Irritability, weakness, loss of appetite, constipation, nux vomica. The patient is always in a hurry. Nux vomica, 1 Ch, 5 drop, 8 hourly. Nervous exhaustion, and you have no other symptom. Strychnine NIT, 3x, 5 drops, 8 hourly. Loss of vigor, timid, apprehensive, pipermethascum, mother tincture or 1x, 10 drops, 8 hourly. Cardiac and general muscular debility and weakness, Viratrum album, 3, 6 hourly. With Viratrum album, you would always check the tongue and see that there is a red strip in the center of the tongue or not. Next, please. Continuing with debility, cardiac and general muscular depression and weakness in fat, pale children, Calcarea carb, 6 Ch, 8 hourly. Cardiac and muscular weakness in thin, rickety children, Salacia, 6, 8 hourly. Cardiac and muscular weakness from loss of blood and other animal fluids, from overwork or anxiety, China, 1x, 6 hourly. Cardiac and muscular weakness with emaciation, Iodium 3x, 4 hourly. Next, please. Now coming to neurasthenia. What is neurasthenia? Today it is called as chronic fatigue syndrome or myalgic encephalopathy, ME. It was called as neurasthenia in Clark's day. Now, it is with neurasthenia, you not only require homeopathic medicine, you require certain other things. It is emaciation with loss of appetite and sleep and plethora of hysterical symptoms. You require absolute bed rest, constant feeding with nourishing and easily digested food, milk in some form being the most important. This may be given wine glass full every hour. And here Clark tells you that Metchnikoff preparation has an advantage over ordinary milk in such cases. Now I got interested in knowing what is Metchnikoff preparation. Now Metchnikoff was a Russian scientist. He was given a Nobel Prize for discovering phagocytosis. Now he also discovered a thing called as Metchnikoff milk. Now Metchnikoff milk आज भी आपको इंडिया में मिलता है by the name of Yakult. It is probiotic and it has lactobacilli. And it was said in his days that if you take Metchnikoff milk, your life would be prolonged. So Clark was so astute observer that he observed that probiotics are useful in neurasthenia. And it has been now proved that probiotics are actually useful in neurasthenia and chronic fatigue syndrome. So see the beauty of clinical observation of homeopathic physicians of yesterday. And then physiotherapy is also important. Next, please. Now for neurasthenia, Clark tells you hysterical, erratic, contradictory symptoms. He tells you clavus. Clavus means needle-like headaches. For needle-like headaches, you must remember only two important remedies, and one is Ignatia, the other is Natrum Mur. So clavus, indigestion, and craving for indigestible articles. Weeping mood, Ignatia 6 Ch 2 hourly. Another medicine for needle-like headache would be agaricus. Flatulence, constipation, mucus in stool along with neurasthenia. It would be Argentum NIT 30 night and morning. Neurasthenia along with loss of weight, depression, no appetite and itching. Radium bromatum 30 once a week. Neurasthenia along with nervous sensitive melancholia, all symptom aggravated after sleep, Lachaches 6 2 hourly. 6 Ch, mind you. Next, please. Neurasthenia along with great weakness, tremors, giddiness, neuralgias, Gelsemium 3 Ch 2 hourly. neurasthenia along with nervous, sensitive, melancholic, all symptoms aggravated after sleep, Lachases 6 2 hourly, another syndrome of Lachases. Neurasthenia, brain fag, every attempt at mental labor causes severe throbbing headache at the base of the brain, weakness of back and sexual excitement. Now here the syndrome differs from gelsemia. Weakness of back along with sexual excitement. You would not see sexual excitement in gelsemia. Then the medicine would become picric acid 30 2 hourly. Irritability, cannot concentrate, scutularia, mother tincture 4 hourly. Satyriasis or nymphomania along with neurasthenia with notions of grandeur and pride, platina 6 2 hourly. Next please. Weakness after influenza, Swaranum 30 4 hourly or China 3x till 30 potency, whatever potency might suit the susceptibility of the patient 2 hourly. Weakness, prostration and excessive exhaustion after influenza with easy perspiration on movement, warm, wet hand, disinclined to exert oneself, Kali-Foss. This is the typical syndrome of Kali-Foss. 6 CH 3 times a day for several days. Or you can use 4 doses of Kali-Foss 200 strictly on 4 doses of the 200 potency given night and morning. Next please. Now what has been our experience at our hospital, I'm going to tell you. Our long COVID experience has been that with brain fag, we have seen these 12 symptoms: prostration of mind, laziness, studying difficult, concentration difficult, memory active but short, dullness, reading is difficult, unable to read, reads but cannot understand, conversation aggravates, there is anxiety and sadness. This is one syndrome that we have had. Next, please. The medicines for this kind of brain fag we have found to be the polycrests are natrum mur, calcarea carb, sepia, silicia, sulfur, alumina, staphylos agria, phosphorus, lachesis, lycopodium, and nux vomica. But the small remedies that we have found are different from Clark or Dorothy Shepherd. Acid Phos, Lolium, Cornus, Carlsbad Aqua, Uranium Nit, and Ambra Grazia. Please do read Lolium, Cornus, Carlsbad Aqua, and specifically Ambra Grazia. Next, please. Now, another syndrome of chronic fatigue syndrome that we have found in our clinic. Mental exertion aggravates. Mental exertion causes fatigue. Mental exertion is impossible. There is an aversion to mental exertion. All the complaints are there is a period of convalescence post-influenzal. Then pains are intolerable. There is weariness in the body. Physical exertion aggravates. Walking is difficult, and there is loss of weight. Next, please. Okay, so in this case, you would see polycrests that come up are aurum, nux vomica, silicia, phosphorus, natrum mur, natrum carb, calcarea carb, and sulfur. Now, I have rated these polycrests on the basis of the repertory work that we have done. And number 1 is the highest ranked polycrest that have come up in the repertory sheet. Now, the small remedies are China, Acid Phos. The surprise was Laurocirrhosis. Important remedy to read. Cocculus indicus, Abrotanum, cadmium met. And you see, Loro cirrhosis is a very important heart remedy. And with corona, you have seen that corona is not only a respiratory problem, it is a problem of the heart and the vasculature. So Loro cirrhosis becomes a very important small remedy. Next, please. Now, hypochondriac mental symptoms. N number of patients are coming to us because of this media exposure. Personally, I have stopped seeing news and I have stopped reading newspaper since last year. After June last year, I have not seen TV. I am not reading newspaper because I could understand the kind of havoc media was playing on our minds. And because of this media havoc and because of the general mass hysteria produced by the second wave, N number of people are now coming with mental symptoms, this panic attacks, this anxiety and depression. So this is the syndrome that we are seeing maximum in our setup. And this is anxiety, sadness, delusion that they are still sick, delusion that they have an incurable disease, hypochondriacal anxiety, despair of recovery, death presentiment of, delusion that they are about to die, that their time has come, disease, thoughts of disease, thoughts which are persistent and tormenting, mental exertion aggravates, mental exertion causes fatigues, then mental exertion is impossible and they don't want to think. Mental exertion aversion to. Next, please. The polycrests here are, and I've been prescribing frequently Aconite as a chronic medicine in high potencies, 1M, 10M, CM even, Aconite, arsenic album, phosphorus, lachesis, nux vomica, nitric acid, sulfur, gelsemium, sepia, graphitis, calcareacar. The nosort sorinum has been prescribed by me in many cases, and the small remedy that is coming up is Abrutana. Surprise, Abrutana for this syndrome. Another surprise here, which has been coming up, the same syndrome with sleeplessness, Scutellaria. Important remedy. Next, please. Now, brain funk, prostration of mind, laziness, studying difficult, concentration difficult, convalescence ailment during convalescence, memory is active but short, dullness, reading is difficult, unable to read, can read but does not understand what he or she is reading, conversation aggravates, then there is a lot of anxiety and sadness because of this. Next, please. The remedies are natrum mur, calcareacar, silicea, phosphorus, sepia, aurum met, and important. Now, this remedy is very important post-COVID, Illumina. Must read Illumina in relation to post-COVID syndrome. Small remedies are acid phos, as expected, China, and Ambra gracia. That is why I'm telling you, read Ambra gracia. Next, please. Now, 3 Ds, dizzy, dull, and debilitated. You remember gelsemium. The short cut to remembering gelsemium is 3D, dizzy, dull, and debilitated. Mind, there is prostration of mind, fever after prolonged fever, confusion of mind with vertigo, difficult concentration, vertigo, prostration of mind. Next, please. Thinking of gelsemium? Yes, number 1 is gelsemium. Then nux vomica, carbovec, anacardium, bryonia, phosphorus, lycopodium, pulsatilla. But look at the small remedy index. Lolium. Can you think of Lolium? Senecio. Would you think of Senecio? Cornus. Cornus is a liver remedy. You would think of Cornus in this syndrome. Cocculus. Cocculus you would think. Nux moscata. Important remedy. Read Nux moscata. It is not a hysterical remedy, although it is very frequently used in hysteria. Lolium is used in Parkinson's only, but it is not a Parkinson's remedy. It is a beautiful remedy. Read it. Senecio is only used for by many people in menstrual disorders. No, use it for other things also. Cocculus is not only for vertigo related to vestibular disturbances. It's a beautiful remedy. Read it. Next, please. Cardialgia. Now, cardialgia, what do you understand by cardialgia? Cardialgia is gastrocardiac kind of a syndrome. Cardialgia is actually card pain, which is non-cardiac heart pain. Angina, which is non-cardiac. So, chest pain, palpitation of heart, fever during, palpitation of heart, vertigo with, palpitation of heart, anxiety with. Next, please. And the remedies are bryonia, gelsemium, spigelia. Read spigelia. Cactus. Remember the keynote of cactus, as if an iron hand is squeezing the heart. Spigelia. You remember the keynote of spigelia. And the small remedy, Aedonis vera, Comoclada dentata, important remedy. Read it. There is one more small remedy which is very important in such a case. That is naja. Read naja also. Next, please. Post-COVID respiratory symptoms. General weariness, respiration difficult with cough, influenza after, throat pain, coughing on, throat pain. Next, please. The remedies are lachesis, phosphorus, nux vomica, silicia, lycopodium, carbobach, heparsulf, natrium mute, sulfur, calcarea carb, kali carb. But remember these small remedies. Stannum, cuprum met, read Bambusa arundusea. Very, very important remedy. People don't read it. Read it. Carbonium sulf, Syncaris. People only study Syncaris in its role over ovaries. But please read Syncaris from minor writings of Kent. Next, please. Gastrointestinal symptom. Diarrhea, fever during, diarrhea with vomiting, abdominal pain with diarrhea, abdominal pain with vomiting, vomiting influenza during, vomiting diarrhea with. Next, please. Polycress, arsenic album, nitric acid, phosphorus, pulsatilla, chamomilla, podophyllum. Small remedies, China. Beautiful remedy, Gambogia, Jalapa, Vaithya. You would not even think of Vaithya in GI symptoms because people use it for upper respiratory tract infection. But Vaithya, you know about colocynth and diascoria. But read Gambogia, it's a beautiful, beautiful remedy used in 6 potency. Jalapa 6, Gambogia 6, Vaithya 6, diascoria 6. Colocynth in higher potencies. Lovely remedies. Chamomilla, higher potency, if the chamomilla state of mind is present. Pulsatilla, if the pulsatilla state of mind is present in higher potency. So you see, you have a plethora of remedies for individual cases. Next, please. Hair fall. Many patients are going to come to you. Polycrest, Lycopodium, phosphorus, sepia, natrium mute, thuja, and Briata carb. According to the drug picture, prescribe the Polycrest, but as intercurrent, you can use small remedies like acid phos, selenium, thallium, manzanilla, Rhoda marinus, important, very important remedy, Chelidonium, China, and Ustilago. Never forget Ustilago in cases of hair fall with dandruff. Ustilago is a very important remedy for dandruff. You can even apply Ustilago diluted with distilled water on scalp for removing dandruff, even seborrhea and seborrheic dermatitis. Next, please. Now coming to vaccinosis. We have been seeing, I have seen about 36 cases of vaccinosis till they have been ranging from eczema to fever to, I mean, there is a range of, and I've been closely recording cases of vaccinosis. So I think this is the time when homeopaths must record all their cases of vaccinosis with evidence, with photographic evidence if possible, so that we get to know and we can prepare a book on vaccinosis like Burnett did. Now, vaccinosis is illness after vaccination. And what Clark has told us, neuralgia, debility, flatulent dyspepsia, and eczema. If you have this combination, use Thuja or Thuja 30 once a week. Chilliness, emaciation, rickety condition, abscess and convulsions, Cilicia 30, abscess at the site of vaccination, Cilicia 30, 4 hourly. Nervous, impatient, irritable patient with red pimples or blotches on various parts, most evident when warm, languor, and restlessness. Now, these cases are coming to us, and I've been prescribing Vaccinum 200 once a week, and they have been responding. Unhealthy, dry, scurfy, or pustulating skin. I have seen cases after this COVID vaccine, and I have prescribed Malandrinum 30 once a week. I don't use gunpowder because instead of gunpowder, why not use antibiotic? So I don't use gunpowder. Malandrinum 30 once a week. I don't use Malandrinum as an intercurrent. I use Malandrinum as a main remedy, and it is a beautiful remedy, a must in every homeopathic pharmacy. Next, please. So, post-vaccination fever syndrome, you would see plenty of cases coming to you, and there is a typical fever syndrome that we have been able to identify. It is pain in muscles, pain in joints, fever with chill, fever after vaccination, and there is chill during thirst. And the medicines are, next please, Aconite, Arsenic album, Belladonna, Rustox, Cilicia, and Thuja, depending upon what the modalities are. Next, please. So, the question comes to us after seeing vaccinosis, to vaccinate or not. In many webinars, people have asked me this question, to vaccinate or not. I would say that you must always answer your patient to get vaccinated. But you must also tell them to get vaccinated by Covaxin. Oh, sorry, Covishield. Why to get vaccinated by Covishield? Because Covishield is made up from a virus which is prepared from a variant virus which is not coronavirus. So it is made up of a similar virus and not same virus. So it is not isopathy, but it is actually homeopathy. So it is based on the principle of homeopathy, although it is not homeopathy, but it is based on the principle of homeopathy. It is better to vaccinate everybody so that we have herd immunity developed as soon as possible. And if somebody out of 1 million people, if say 1 lakh people have vaccinosis, then we are there to treat them. After all, we have also to earn money and earn fame. So vaccination is for the betterment of mankind and to get this COVID menace over as soon as possible. We must always tell patients to get vaccinated and get vaccinated by Covishield. Next, please. So this is all that I had to tell you. If you want to contact me, my Insta account is given, my Facebook account is given, and my website is also given. Although if you want to look into my personal Insta account, it is the same account with the number 9 added to it, Dr. _Harsh _Nigam. 9 added to it. That is my personal Insta account, wherein you would find plenty of funny things and plenty of literary things that I write. So that's all about today's webinar. I hope you have found it interesting. Thank you.
Definitely, sir. Thank you so much for such an enlightening session. I would like to request all our dear learners to comment in the chat box with their questions now. We will begin the question and answer session in a minute. I think we've already run out of time, but we'll still try to take few questions, as many as possible. So fast, please. Give your questions in the comments. And while they're writing their questions, sir, can you please say a few words about your course on THA?
Yeah, the course is actually for everybody. And this course was an idea which was given to me. This was a platform which was first floated to me by somebody who came all the way from where? England, I suppose? No? Or from Belgium? Where did Brian he come from?
Sir, I was not there at the time.
Okay. So I think, what's his name?
I'll have to see, sir.
His name is Brian. Okay, his name is Brian, I suppose. So he came all the way from England and he came to Kanpur, and he had this idea of developing THA. And he found my book to be very interesting, and he thought that this book can be converted into a course. I had this idea in my mind that I wanted to leave something for posterity for homeopathic students, and I want you all to become modern homeopaths. I don't want you to be, dogmatic about homeopathy. You would have to, change your vision. You have to come forward and take up the challenge of the times. And to take up the challenge of the time, you would have to actually catch up with the times. So I had already written this book. Now this book was published by Bijan. The other book was also published by Bijan. I was on the tour to Belgium, and I just called up, what's his name? The repertory guy, Frederick Stroins. Now, Frederick Stroins was gracious enough to meet me in Belgium, and I showed him my book. I shared my vision with him. So he sent his men, and we had this idea of THA. So my course was the first course that we recorded for THA, and the idea was to take homeopathy to the next level. And Bijan has always been the front runners and forerunners and visionaries in homeopathy. So they wanted to digitalize homeopathy, and we want to leave the next generation with this kind of thing, wherein you have a solid foundation to know what is the real thing and what is bakwas. You must know how to differentiate between the wheat and the chaff. And in homeopathy, you would have plenty of chaff, and you must know what is real and what is not real. So we have come up with this course. There is this course, the foundation course, where are different modules where you get the solid foundation of what is the real thing, which is all based on the organon. And then this leads to the prescribing part, because when I entered homeopathy as an outsider, as a trained allopath, I found things which were not right. And I had plenty of discussions with my father. My father was the one who planned my life. He wanted me to be an homeopath after studying allopathy. So, but when I entered homeopathy, I found many lacunas, and I've been striving to, improve those lacunas. And slowly, my vision is also changing. Recently, we have been, publishing a book with Bijan by the name of Secret Life of Hahnemann. wherein I would be exposing to you all the real life of Hahnemann, which was his hidden life, the occult life of Hahnemann. People think, people have written about his love life, his second wife, and the love story of Hahnemann. It was not a love story. It was only a facade. Behind that was a occult thing which was happening. People don't know about it. I have written about it. People don't know why Hahnemann gave that structure to his organon. It was based on the Book of Concord. People don't know about Book of Concord. People don't know about Freemasonry and how Hahnemann was a Freemason. Why did he go to Stortes? Why did he write his organon in Torgu? Why he chose Torgu? So I have written that all in that book. So that is another. If you don't understand Hahnemann's life, you would never understand homeopathy. Hahnemann till 60. When he was till 60, till his first edition of Organon, he was a scientific homeopath. After 60, he became an artist, a medical artist. That is why he changed the name from first to the second Organon. He changed the name of the organ from Heilkunde to Heilkunst. Heilkunde is medical and Heilkunst is medical art. So from 60 onwards, he became a medical artist. So every student first has to become a medical scientist. Then only you can become a medical artist. Now people confuse. The teachers confuse you. They would like to tell you about spiritual homeopathy, mind homeopathy, this homeopathy, that homeopathy, and people get confused. I would like to tell you, no, first become a medical homeopath. This is level 1 of homeopathy. Become a medical homeopath, become a scientific homeopath, and then other things will follow. That is why learn specific homeopathy. Take case properly. Repertorize every case. Study your materia medica and prescribe, and then experiment, because Hahnemann experimented till the last breath of his life. Be your own Hahnemann. Check yourself. Do what Hahnemann did, but based it on solid principle. This is what I would expect all of the young generation of homeopaths to do, because all of you are now medically educated. There has been a time when homeopathy came into the hand of lay people. But now homeopathy in India at least is amongst educated young people, people with energy. These people have to be guided to the next level of homeopathy. Then only homeopathy is going to rise and shine. And our course is an attempt for this only. I would love young people to come to me, talk to me, ask me, and I would always be there to guide them.
Yes, so thank you so much for giving us the motivation, and I hope we all will try to do that with your help, of course. All right, so learners, also I would like to tell you, as you can see on your chat, that we have an amazing offer for you. That's a 20% off on Dr. Harsh Nigam's course, and you can use the code TS20 at checkout on our website www.thehomeopathicacademy.com, and you can avail the offer. And this offer stands only for 24 hours. So go ahead and enroll in Dr. Harsh Nigam's online course before the offer ends. And as you've already seen, he has ample of wisdom to share, and you shouldn't wait for it. So another important thing, okay, so we have a few questions, sir. Let's take the 2-3 questions that we can. Okay, so a learner wants to, yes, sir.
There is one Dr. Chaju Ram who has asked that whether can we give CPR to male patients. Now, see, this is something which is very interesting. people have been so much brainwashed by these picture makers that CPR is a female remedy. Do you know that the first prover of CPR was a male artist? The first prover was a male artist. CPR can be given to anybody who has a totality of CPR symptoms. So forget about CPR who is thin, who has a narrow pelvis, is a female, who is a washerwoman, who has a sagging breast and this and that. Forget about these pictures. This is all hogwash. This is only trying to paint an image in your mind. This was started by Kent only with this idea so that you can remember a medicine picture in your mind. But this has now been taken to an extreme by people. And who's to be blamed? Not Kent. The person who's to be blamed is Margaret Taylor. She was the one who took it to an extreme. Margaret Taylor, Gibson, and then Vitholkas, of course, and then Catherine Coulter, and then people like her. They would like to, and now on the internet, you would find people playing all kind of stories about CPR, sulfur, and people come to you here in walks in sulfur. You are already prejudiced. A patient comes to your clinic and you say, this is sulfur. You have not even taken the case and you decide the remedy. Now, this is all hogwash. If you don't take a proper case, if you don't repertorize, you can never decide. You can give CPR to anybody if the CPR symptoms match.
Yes, so definitely. Thank you so much. Okay. A learner wants to know how homeopathy can help in enhancing patients' immunity.
Very good. So, if you want to enhance immunity of the patient, so if you attend my course, you would see that there is a whole module dedicated to layered approach. When we say layers, our concept of layer is not based upon the Vijay concept of layers, which is misleading concept of layers. Our concept of layer is based on the concept of layers, which was given by Iziaga. And he said that there are different layers. Amongst one of those layers is a constitutional layer. Now, by constitution, you mean a patient's traits when he is normal. And the constitution of the patient is dependent upon three things: his physical constitution, his biological constitution, his psychological constitution. The physical constitution can be of three types. It can be phosphoric, carbonic, or fluoric. The biological constitution can be of three types. It can be hydrogenoid, carbonitrogennoid, or oxygenoid. And the psychological constitution can be, which is called as temperament in homeopathy, can be of three types. One is stable, the other is unstable, and from the stable, there are two stable, that is phlegmatic and sanguine. So temperaments or psychological constitution is of three types: unstable, sanguine, and phlegmatic. So once you decide the constitution of the patient, like if you talk about me, then I am a fluoric because my teeth are fluoric. I don't like humidity, so I am hydrogenoid. My biological constitution is hydrogenoid, and I am unstable because sometimes I am happy, sometimes I am angry, sometimes I am overjoyous, so I am unstable. So I have this constitution. So any medicine which covers all these three is my constitutional remedy in health. And that remedy is going to, improve my constitution. So that would be a remedy that is going to help me. To that, I would add certain traits, like in health, I am ambitious. In health, I am conscientious. And then I would select my remedy in health, and that I would take to improve my immune system.
So thank you, sir. Let's take a last question for today. So a learner wants to know what is the homeopathic prophylaxis for COVID-19 according to you?
What is the, sorry?
Homeopathic prophylaxis for COVID-19.
It is phosphorus 6. If you take it pathologically, it is phosphorus 6. And there is a whole discussion, and there is a paper that I have written on it. It is not arsenic album. Arsenic album was given by Clark as a prophylactic to any case of influenza for the future, for all influenzas in the future, whatever it may be. But the dose was arsenic album 3. I can share the dose. It is arsenic album 3 which is to be given, 3CH, and not arsenic album 30 anyways. But that was Clark's observation. But if you consider genus epidemicus, then genus epidemicus, pathological genus epidemicus for COVID-19 is phosphorus and not arsenic album, number one. Number two, you must remember that every area is going to have its own genus epidemicus, because virus, they change their strain. And individuals, of a different area have different susceptibility. So every area, the genus epidemicus in Kanpur may be different from that of Delhi. So I would suggest everybody to make their own genus epidemicus depending upon first 50 cases or at least first 20 cases that they see. And they must repertorize, and then they would get to know. They can easily refer to the webinar, free webinars that you have put on your websites, and they can see how to work and go about it.
Yes, so thank you so much, sir. I think we'll wind up here. I would like to thank you so much, sir, for such an informative session. It was really a great experience yet again, and very warm gratitude on behalf of THA as well as BGN Group. Would you like to say a few words before parting, sir?
It's always the same. Keep growing and keep learning.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you everyone for joining us here today. And if you're worrying that you have missed something or you want a recording, don't worry, you'll receive it on your mails. You will not miss anything that Dr. Harsh Nigam has shared with us. So don't worry at all. And we'll try to come back with another topic with Dr. Harsh Nigam, hopefully, if he'll allow us. So thank you everyone. Keep learning, keep improving. Have a great day.